So now we're going to get on with section 4.8, tube drive components. And for this we need R2 to R7, which 8.2K. So what have we got there? 8.2K, R2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very good. We're going to need C5, C8 and C9, which are 100 nanofarad. So C5, let's say C8 and C9. So these chaps have got 104 written on them. 104, very good. We're going to need the sockets of IC1 and IC3, so I guess those are the guys there. Hold on. And so, now these have got a flat on the edge. So you see there's one side has a little flat on it, and there's marked the side and the flat on the board. And it's important to get these right first time. If you solder them in and they're the wrong way around, well, it's going to be bad, because the chips don't actually go very easily. Well, they don't go at all. You'd have to modify the socket here. So get those in the right way around. Check them, double check them, and don't get it wrong. So we are going to put in the sockets first of all. You know what, let's have a new bit of tape. Let's push the boat out, let's go crazy. In fact, let's really go crazy. 2 new bits of tape. Wow. So I'm going to put 1 pin in first of all. Let's have a look how that looks. Okay, good. Let's put a pin on the opposite side in, and then we can check that they're in the right way and sitting down properly. So they seem to be in the right way. However, this one isn't sitting down properly. Now it is. And this one seems to be just right anyway. So let's go and solder this guy. This is going to take a little bit of patience. I guess this is fairly boring, and there's not much to do while we're not much to talk about while we're doing it, so I may well just fast forward this bit. Okie dokie. Let's put in the 3 capacitors, C5, C8 and C9. If I could find them, I would put them in. C3, C7, C5. C8 and C9, decoupling capacitors for these chips. trim up. And then the resistors R2 to R7. R2, R3, R4, R5, R6, R7. Oops. That didn't want to go in properly. So I need to bend the leads a bit tighter. These are quite tight footprints for these resistors. They're being quite awkward. Maybe I should just bend the leads tighter. Being super awkward, these guys. Mostly. Okay, let's go and solder one of the leads on each of them, and then we can see if they've gone in properly. Alright, that will do. I'm not super happy with that. The resistors have very fat leads and they don't really like to go through the fairly small tight holes. But probably if you had a component lead bender you wouldn't have such a big problem there. Okay, let me just tidy those up where I've had to crop the leads short, make them look a bit more pleasing. Okay, that's section 4.8 done. Now we'll get on to section 4.9, which is a little tiny crystal. Where are you, little tiny crystal? I saw you a minute ago. Now we're going to put in the crystal circuit, and for that we need a little tiny 32.768 kilohertz crystal. We need a 10 picofarad capacitor and a 15 picofarad capacitor. And it's very, very indistinct, but you can just make out 10 and 15 on there. So we'll pop those in. This is now section 4.9, and I guess let's turn the board around. So we're looking for C3 and C4. C3, C4 and X1. And again, the crystal needs to lay down. So we'll form the leads. And solder that guy in. There's no other instructions to this step, so I'm just going to solder in from the top. I see there's a pad underneath there, but I don't think we're going to solder the crystal down. So C3 needs to be the 10 picofarad, so that goes on this side, and C4 needs to be the 15 picofarad, so we go on that side. Could be a little tighter to the board. Okay. That's step 4.9. Now I think comes an exciting thing next. So now we come on to an exciting part of the story. It's 4.10. First tube test. Now it is time to make a first test of the tube drive circuit. Start by replacing the HV module. Okay. Also, if you removed IC2, place it back in its socket. I didn't. Insert IC3 and IC4 into their sockets, taking great care the flat at one corner of the IC matches the flat on the IC socket. So let's find the flat on the corner. It's really difficult to see. All four corners are square except one. There's also a slant off to one side here, and the way it looks is these guys go in like this, and they need a little bit of force. If you don't get them the right way around, you can force them as much as you like, they won't go in. That's a sign that they're in the wrong way. So on each side we've got the flat, so like this, and we're in. The HV module is in. It says now would be a great time to attach the 6 M3 spacers. Okay, let's do that then. Here's the bag with the 6 M3 spacers in there. We're just going to put them in finger tight. So one, two, three. You know what? This is a great time to do this. 4. It's never been a better time to be doing this sort of thing. 5. Okay. All right, let me go and get some tubes then. Okay, so here are some tubes. So with great care and with the tubes facing forward, so there is a, well, this must be forward. Now you can see here there's some pins which don't go into sockets. This is a relatively tricky thing to do. I'll put it so you can see it. There's an anode at the front there, which doesn't need to go into a socket. Oh, this is horribly fiddly. Let's try a different tube in case it's got something it doesn't like about it. Maybe some of the pins are bent. Okay, that looks nearly okay. This is a horribly fiddly piece of work. Let's try a different tube in a different socket. Okay, that one. Now you have to be really careful here. You have to make sure that all the pins are seated properly. And then you can push it in. This guy here, there seems to be a pin that's slightly out of alignment. We'll come back to that in a second. This one seems to be making sense. Yes. Now, for my liking, these sockets are actually too tight. I'm scared that we're forcing the pins too much, and that means these tubes could take some damage and outgas, and I don't like that. These tubes are too expensive to have things like that happen to them. Okay. Right, let's go back to this first one, which seems to be awkward. Let's try again. Pins don't seem to be out of alignment. But this socket does. Now, this is not the one I had the problem with. Seems to be another one. Okay. I'm going to open the the jaws up a little bit. You see what I'm doing is putting the pen in there, the ball of the pen, and just opening the jaws ever so slightly. Because I've got a feeling those jaws are a bit too closed. Let's see now. Are we getting any closer? Yes, maybe. I think this is quite a silly game. Okay, so I had to force it. Let us see what happens. So do I have everything in? Yes, I think so. 2, 3. See, all except this one. What's going on with this one? Let me see if it's the tube or the socket. So it seems to be the tube. Let's see if it was seated properly. Yes, it seems it's a duff tube. Great. So here we go. So I've got a bit of cathode poisoning on a couple of these tubes. They're also not sitting up straight at all.